Fire and Smoke. My name is Sheikh. Thank you for joining us back on the channel. If you're a regular subscriber and you watch our content regularly, you will know we love beef ribs. I personally believe it's the best bite in barbecue. What we're going to do today is we're going to try out the UK Sainsbury's supermarket beef dino ribs. They are beef short ribs from Sainsbury's supermarket here in Scotland. These have been doing the rounds online, especially here within the UK barbecue chats, online, Facebook, Instagram, that sort of thing. I've not tried them yet. I picked myself a pack and I'm going to try these today. First impressions, this pack of 2 bone-in beef ribs cost £12.97. Now, I cook a lot of beef ribs. I buy a lot of beef ribs from Costco. I buy a lot of beef ribs from a craft butcher. A craft butcher rib for a set of 3 of these is about £35. Costco's, you get 3 bone-in and you get 2 per packet for that £25. These are coming in at a keen price point. They're also easily accessible. Anybody you go to Sainsbury's, you don't need to have a local craft butcher. You do not need to pay through the nose for these. You can literally go to Sainsbury's, do what I did, which is have a look about, try and figure out the best ribs. Now, what I was primarily looking for when I was in Sainsbury's is as much fat content on these as I could possibly find. What I did find is every single pack that I picked up had one really good, really meaty beef rib that you see all the Texans serve up, and one small one on the other side, which doesn't really have a lot of meat on there at all. However, all of the packets the day I went in there looked like this, so this is what we've got. You can clearly see the size comparison difference in what I was referring to. Now, they don't actually look too bad. This one has got a lot of fat on it, this one doesn't really, but then again this one doesn't really have a lot of meat on it either, so we'll try them out. This one specifically has an absolute amazing marbling through that one. This one, maybe not so much. In terms of size, these are the traditional big Texan style beef ribs. They're absolutely massive. Well done to Sainsbury's for keeping these big. Now, like I said, on this one specifically, we're going to take off this top section of fat because there's no meat under there and it's not going to do anything for us. Just take all slices at a time. As I said, just a lot of fat under there, not really much to it. Get down to the bone, put this to the side. Look at that, in actual fact, we're probably lost already about 1.5 to 2 inches worth of the rib, so there only is maybe 5.5 to 6 inches off beef on this 8-inch rib. I think we're just going to keep most of the fat on there. We don't want to take too much off. We want the rib to be as good as it can be. That's it. Next one up, I'm going to be honest, because it's so small, because there's so little fat on there, I'm just going to keep the membrane on there and I'm going to cook it as it is with some seasonings on there. Now that we've done almost no trimming to these at all, next things are going to be flavourings. All I'm going to do, keep it super traditional, 2 parts pepper, 1 part salt, a little bit of garlic, and we're going to use store-bought mustard as a binder. We want to see how good these actually taste. First up, store-bought mustard. Again, if you have seen any of my videos in the past, you will know I'm a fan of trying to keep one hand clean just while we do this part. Use this as a binder to make sure any of the seasonings and any of the rubs that you want to put on there are going to stick. This one's exactly the same, just make sure you get your sides, get your tops, you get your bottoms, covered in mustard. Next up, some 16 mesh ground black pepper. Using this in a shaker bottle, we want to go for quite a heavy coating of that. Make sure you get your sides off first of all, then get down the back, get on your top. And this is what's really going to help us create that delicious bark. And again, this is going to replicate those images that all you guys see online when you see people make beef dino ribs. Same for this one. Then we're going to go for some salt. Last up, we're going to use some store-bought garlic grinds. Two perfectly seasoned beef ribs ready to go in the smoker. These are going to be on today for about 8 hours, so it's going to be a fairly decent long cook. We're going to let the smoker come up to temperature and these are going to go. The smoker's now getting there, so it's time to get these beef ribs on. First rib on and then the second rib on, and let's check the fire. As you can see, we've got a pretty good bed of coal in there, a couple of sticks on, the fire's going good. 3 hours in, the Sainsbury's ribs on the left hand side are starting to look spectacular. They've been running between the 220 and 275 mark, so these are right on progress and right on track. They're starting to take in a lot of cover, there's a lot of flavour on there, but we've not got very much fat rendered out yet. They're starting to get quite crispy, which is real good because that's what we're trying to do. This one at the back Looks spectacular, quite a large amount of fat there. Probably should have trimmed that off, but as I said before, all we were trying to do on these ribs is give them the best chance and taste how good they really are. At the 3 hour mark, we can see how good these ribs are, starting to take on a lot of colour and a lot of flavour and a lot of that smoke. Let's get the smoker shut, let's keep cooking. The Sainsbury's ribs, which are on the left hand side, have now been in the pit a total of 5 hours. We're starting to get real good crisping, the bark is starting to set real good, so all we're going to do to help this along to make sure nothing burns up is we're going to hit this with a spritz. Now our spritzifier and smoke is very simple, very easy. It is 50% water, 50% apple cider vinegar. We'll put that in the spray bottle and we're just going to hit it all over. We're going to spritz every 25 minutes, half an hour for the next hour and a half to 2 hours. Let's keep them cooking. At the 6.5 hour mark, we've decided to take another quick look and we're going to take some temperatures. We're using a Thermapen 1 for this, instant readings, it's super easy. Just seen from the temperature probe there that we're hitting about the 160 to 165 to near the 170 mark on these, which means they've hit the stall. When you grab them off, we're going to wrap them in some butcher paper, we're going to add in additional beef tallow, and all that's going to do is make these softer and more juicier by the time we get to the end of this cook. Let's get them off. What we've done here, sat them in our butcher paper, we're going to go in with some additional beef tallow. Now this is just store-bought tallow, so if you go to your local butchers and ask them for some rendered down beef fat, this is what you're going to get. So now your beef tallow's on there, all you're going to do is wrap them up like a parcel, roll them flat, and that's it. Now, it's important when this goes back in the pit, you put it each side down, so all that beef tallow starts to sous vide these in its own flavour, and its own fat, and its own juices. This one, now this is a bigger, much beefier beef rib. Look at that, look at the colour on there. It's starting to get real good, real soft. Some of that fat's already starting to squirt out. So again, same situation. We're going to go in with some additional beef tallow just on top. All this is going to do is help that bark that we've created soften back up and sous vide these in their own juices. Pull your sides in, tuck them both. Beef rib, ready to go back in the smoker. Both of those Sainsbury's ribs are now off the smoker, wrapped in butcher paper, extra beef tallow on there, and back on. These are going to go until the probe tender, 203, 205. I'm thinking about another 2 hours at the 250, 300 mark, because we're bumping these temperatures up, and we'll see how these Sainsbury's ribs really do. Just like that, 2 hours are up, and it's time to get these off. So grab yourself a handy tray, get your ribs in there, get them off. Ribs are now fully cooked all the way through. We had a quick check with the Thermapen and we're coming in at the 205 to 210 mark, which means we've let these run a little bit over. We're going to leave them in the tray, we're going to let them rest, let them come down to 165F, then we're going to tuck into these. Ribs have now been sitting on the countertop and rested for about an hour. Come down to 165F internal, it's time to get stuck in. You can see the butcher paper is absolutely saturated, which means that additional beef tallow we put in there has really done its thing and it's helped soften these ribs right back up. Let's get them out. Look how good both of these ribs have turned out. They've got absolutely amazing flavour on there, they've got absolutely amazing bark on there. Let them sous vide an additional beef tallow while within the wrap. Ready to fall off the bone. All the meat's completely cooked, all the fat's rendered down. These look outstanding. This one looks a lot more like those big beef dino ribs that everybody sees. One not so much because it's not got that much meat on there. But let's take a closer look. This is why I don't think there's a better bite in barbecue. They're massive, they're big, they're smoky, they're going to be flavourful. Let's get a bite. Didn't do myself any favours there. I should have took that membrane off, but this is what you get. Tastes perfectly good. It's a smoke ring and stuff in there. It's just really chewy. The cook's perfect. I should have took the membrane off. That's my fault. First bite of these ribs. Not so great on the small one, but let's check the bigger one. Guys, these are outstanding. Meat just falls apart. Big rib, got some amount of smoke flavour on there. The meat just falls apart. This is absolutely amazing. So much fat in there, it's rendered down. These are so good. Second rib in the pack, not so much. Do it again, guys. I should have cut the top membrane off of this one. I didn't, I was lazy. I tried to save as much of this rib as possible. In hindsight, it's not done me any favours because this has not cooked down. Now remember, this pack cost £13, but for that £13 you're getting two absolutely massive big beef ribs. So if you're looking for these in the shops, I'm going to recommend you spend a little bit more time. You don't just take what's there and you try and get two fairly consistent sized beef ribs, because you're going to get a better result at the end. Now, I'm not saying these aren't delicious. All I'm saying is cooked a little bit unevenly. This one is a little bit more crispy. This one, however, is cooked absolutely perfectly. It's fallen apart. The meat has completely rendered down. It's absolutely delicious. These are so good. And for the £13, you can't go wrong with these. You guys know when we do beef ribs here at Fire and Smoke, we tend to use our local craft butchers, which is Stratton Craft Butchers. The price compared to these is astronomical. These are so cheap in comparison. They're just as flavourful. You add in the additional bit of beef tallow, like I did during the wrapping process. All the harsh part you've got on there is going to soften back up, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. So good. Let's try a little bit of the back end of this one, see if it's any better. Less membrane down there, fully cooked, fully crispy. Yeah. The back end of this one's a lot better than the top, because that membrane kind of stops around about here, so it is so good. You've seen the flavours, salt, pepper, garlic, that's it, and you can create some amazing beef dino ribs. If you don't have an offset smoker, don't worry about that. We have got a video dedicated to cooking beef ribs just like this on a cheap supermarket barbecue, and I'll leave the link up here. If you find yourself in a pinch and you want to cook some real good barbecue, head down to Sainsbury's, grab a set of these ribs, try them out for yourself, you won't be disappointed. I know this wasn't a long video, I just wanted to get some of these beef ribs, I wanted to try them for myself. Are they worth it? In my opinion, 100% yes. If you want to cook some beef ribs, you don't have access to Costco, you don't want to pay through the nose for our craft butchers, and get some of these and try them yourselves. £13, I don't think I've had a better beef rib. I honestly don't. Treat them well, take your time while cooking them, and you'll end up with results just like this. That's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope there's some information in there, some tricks and some tips that you guys can use barbecuing at home by yourselves. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe, press that thumbs up button, leave any comments you have in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!